Welcome to Cultural Catalyst, the podcast that shines a light on the creative visionaries working behind the scenes in arts and entertainment. I'm your host, Allison McNeil, CEO and founder of McNeil Creative Enterprises. With over 20 years of experience advocating for equity and sustainable growth in the arts and entertainment, I've seen firsthand the power of the behind-the-scenes creatives. Here on Cultural Catalyst, the creatives behind the curtain take center stage. Let's celebrate the people who make the magic happen. Let's dive in. This episode is brought to you by Words, Beats, and Life. It's never too early or too late to explore or expand your creative expression. Rediscover hip-hop culture today at wblinc.org. Today, I'm thrilled to welcome Tewodross Melchishua Williams, or as he's known in the creative world, Teo. Teo is an award-winning filmmaker, animator, and Afrofuturist who's been shaping visual storytelling for over 20 years. He bridges academia and industry innovation as program coordinator at Bowie State University and is the creative director of Visual Jazz, his digital media studio collective. His impressive accolades include the Sony Innovators Award in Animation and the Paul Robeson Award in Film and Video. As a Fulbright Hays Fellow, Teo has conducted research internationally, bringing global perspectives to his Afrofuturistic work that explores science fiction, music, and Black culture. His collaborations are as diverse as they are prestigious, from designing for Cinderella, the remix at the Kennedy Center, to serving as the resident VJ for the acclaimed Shaolin Jazz project, where he creates visuals for Wu-Tang Clan remixed with jazz legends, which is incredible. I just have to say I've been there. Okay. Most recently, he's been producing opening title sequences for BET Plus films while also developing feature-length projects that center Black diaspora narratives. Beyond creating groundbreaking work, Teo mentors the next generation of visual storytellers, constantly pushing the boundaries of what animation and digital media achieve in representing diverse voices and futuristic visions. Teo, welcome to Cultural Catalyst.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you for the introduction. You know, you listen to these and you're like, oh yeah, I forgot I did that.
Yes, when we put it together, we're like, no, it's all about giving you your flowers.
Thank you.
We get so, myself included, we get so busy doing the work that it's like, oh yeah, that's me.
And I got to add one more bud to the flower. I'm chairperson of the Department of Fine and Performing Arts.
Oh, I'm sorry. We can't be better.
Look, I have many jobs. Okay. So I'm the coordinator. I'm the department chair. Yes. So many hats. But thank you. I appreciate the invitation. It's great to be here.
Yes. And I cannot wait to get into our questions and be in dialogue with you about your journey. Okay. So as I mentioned in your intro, you've been shaping visual storytelling for over 20 years, and Afrofuturism is central to your work. Can you tell me what first drew you to the work that you do now, and how do you describe it? Like, you heard me say something, but how would you describe what you do?
So, okay, what drew me to my work? I'm looking behind me because I have a giant, I'll pull her over in a minute, but I have a life-size, I guess, printout of Lieutenant Uhuru from Star Trek. So Nichelle Nichols, God rest her soul, who I had a crush on when I was a little kid, but just watching track and just seeing this beautiful Black woman, this intelligent sister on television. Of course, it was the first interracial kiss on air, but this with that, and also have another one of Billy G. Williams as Lando Calrissian. He's over the corner there.
Oh my gosh.
But just even seeing, I've always been a nerd. I've always been a geek. I've always wanted to look for our stories, if it's science fiction or horror, animation or fantasy. But I definitely say Star Trek, Star Wars was sort of the first one that was seeing these Black people in space, really opened up my eyes and got me thinking about the possibilities of storytellers and what we could do as people of African descent.
Love the fact, and all of our guests in some way, shape, or form talk about the fact that they got to do what they're doing because they saw someone that looked like them doing something similar or something that piqued their curiosity and helped them navigate that. Can you tell me, how does it go from Black people in space? Like, I'm energized by that, to a profession. Like, how does that work?
Yeah, I'm an artist, and so initially I've always been interested in storytelling, but looking at, if it's science fiction like Star Trek or Star Wars, looking for my story. Where's my story? Where's my narrative? So for me, it started off with drawing and painting, and I got really, really interested in even like puppet making and special effects and visual effects. Initially, I thought I wanted to be a special effects artist, so I'd have little puppet shows at home and creating these creatures. And then I really started getting interested in animation. You know, it's almost like looking at, like, as I'm talking, I'm looking at my painting behind me. Like, when I look at art, I want things to move. So movement is really central to what I'd like to do. So as a child, I would look at my painting as like, I wonder what would happen if these things were moving. So this whole idea of movement, physical movement in terms of animation, but then social, cultural, spiritual movements, political movements. So I look at movement and rhythm as just really core and central to our people, our struggle, that we're always having to move. We're always, sometimes we movement from Africa here, not voluntarily, but moving from one place to the next, leaving the South, going to the North, but movement and rhythm and music. I think a lot of that, I'm really very heavily inspired. So even the rhythms, most of my creative works, even the piece behind me, my animation, is always a song or a sound that sparks the interest. I have a huge love for music, but rhythm, movement were really the things that got me really interested. And so I initially ended up, being an art student, going to high school. I ended up going to Bowie State University. I wanted to study animation. They didn't have it at the time. They do now. It's always after you graduate when they have the animation. I keep in touch with the wonderful program they have called SWAN at Morgan State now. But I really wanted to learn animation and make cartoons and things like that. So at Morgan, I ended up taking a course over at UMBC, and it was a film course. And that kind of led me to wanted to also look at producing short films. And so I ended up leaving Morgan and going to UMBC for grad school, and started getting into digital media and animation and visual effects and that type of thing. But yeah, movement, I think, culture, music, looking at the beauty of our people, looking at ancestral memory, and just using a love for the work that I do to hopefully move people, if it's emotionally, physically, spiritually, maybe even politically, culturally. I want to keep that idea of movement and going, rhythm, like we're always, it's in us. It's ingrained in us as a people.
I see that. I think about the productions that I've been to that have featured your work, and it always feels like an active character in the experience. Like, it's never just sitting at the back. It's like very I don't want to say the word interactive. I might not be using the correct words,
Correct.
but the movement is definitely there.
Correct.
And it invites you to,
Exactly.
In a way that is refreshing, especially if it's like a play and you may not expect it to be there. You mentioned music being highly influential. What type of music? I'm curious.
Oh, definitely. So I'm a Libra, so this may take a little time, but we'll start with reggae music, go-go music, definitely hip hop and jazz, even things like salsa and merengue. But I would say the top three are jazz, hip hop, and reggae music have really inspired me. But then, I reflect on being inspired by my elements of gospel and spiritual. My mother was in the gospel choir at Shiloh Baptist Church here in DC. And so even the spiritual elements, and later on, I started really starting to have a respect for the blues. But hip hop, jazz, reggae, and really those interconnections, how one has sort of shaped the other. And even now, I'm really starting to really respond to a lot of Afrobeat. And listen, when I went to Morgan State, I think that's when I got introduced to house music. So I got to give it up for house in Baltimore, Chicago. So, but I see all of these music forms, if it's house, if it's go-go, if it's hip hop, if it's jazz, it's really paying homage to our ancestors. I mean, it's all based off that drum, based off that African rhythm, and however we translate that. But yeah, I literally, again, even scripts, I'm working on a script for a sci-fi film now, but it always starts with a song. I'll be listening to something and it'll lead me to something else. And so I have a great, deep down inside, I think I wanted to be a musician in another life. I have no musical talent in my body, but I'm always been surrounded by musicians and DJs and rappers and and poets. And so they inspire me for the work that I do.
That is amazing. And to be in a place like the DC area, I'm also, well, I'm in Maryland now, but was born in DC. There's just such a plethora of different types of music and art that you can lean into and be inspired by. For those that are listening to this podcast, you cannot see the picture that Tio described behind him, but I am wondering if you can describe it.
Absolutely. I would love to. I would love to. And I'll definitely send an image for the listeners if you want to post later. So this is a tribute to Guru, who's now deceased, of the hip hop group Gangstar. And it's called Planet X Nomo, as in Nommo, Nomo, from the Dogon. Nomo music for the suckers. And this is actually my first quote unquote like Afrofuturism attempt, so to speak. There's a song by Gangstar called Above the Clouds. It features Inspector Deck from Wu-Tang, of course. Oh, the words behind it is, I self-laud and master, heed the words. It's like ghetto star proverbs. I did an exhibition in Washington, D.C. that this work was a part of, called M3, and that stood for MCs, or MQ, MCs, Mics, and Metaphors.
That's right.
And I had about 17 artists, and I had each artist to choose a song or specifically an artist, hip hop or a rapper, an MC, to create a visual representation of their work. So we wanted to focus on lyricism. So this was my sort of attempt at, and I've always been inspired by hip hop's use of metaphors and similes. So it's like ghetto star proverbs, heed the words, I self-laud and master. And so I love how MCs use similes and metaphors. And I said, okay, so how do I make that visual? How can I visualize what they're talking about? So this is my attempt. And this song, Above the Clouds, I recommend everyone listen to it, Above the Clouds. But if you listen to the song, it really took me on this journey. A Guru, I mean, he's obviously dead center in this tribute to him, but he's one of my favorite MCs. I love especially with Gangstar, and definitely shout out to DJ Premier, how he really did a great way of blending jazz and hip hop together.
Nice. Okay, so for the average person that is just sitting down and like they see something that you've created, how in the world, like how does it come to be in your mind? Like you work across animation, film, jazz, and you create these visual images. How do you decide, oh, I'm gonna put the song here? Like walk us through a typical project development process.
Yeah, so I would say I've been really looking at this whole concept of synesthesia, how when folks are listening to sounds or music, they see color. So for me, as I listen to things, I sort of see color. So listening to this song over and over, I was like, okay, let me just put this orange down, right? And I have to definitely give homage to my inspirations like Romare Bearden, Henri Matisse, who did collage, and even my studio Visual Jazz is a tribute to Romare Bearden. But I listen to it, and then I try to break down each element. And that's a beautiful thing about music. There's so many layers and textures that I try to capture. Now, whether I'm doing this in a mixed media piece, as the one we're referring to, or in video, I try to do a similar thing where I may lay a video track down and then sort of build on top, just like Romare Bearden may cut and mix a piece of a magazine with a piece of fabric. I said earlier, I have a love and respect for musicians, but I really love DJs. Okay. I think other life, I want to be a DJ because I love the way that DJs, sample and mix and blend, and they become these curators of music and culture. You can blend, as Grandmaster Flash said, I can blend. So Mozart, I could blend it with Led Zeppelin and throw in some James Brown. And that's what I like to do. So I listen to each element, each scratch, each lyric, and lay that color down or that element down, as I did with this particular piece, this tribute to Guru. And then I try to look for connections between them. And again, the whole thing of movement, like even in this piece, I want to almost give this illusion of movement. But yeah, I guess I see color. When I hear a song, I see it as a blue or a green or an orange. And I'm I'm very interested about the language between the visual and the written word, or the art or the dance. And so how all of these creative forms can talk to one another. How does a dancer talk to a painter? Or how does an animator speak to a DJ or a musician? So I try to sort of recreate what the DJ would do on canvas or in video or in motion graphics is what I try to do. But it's a layering, it's a compositing. And then some of it is just the feeling. I'll be honest with you. Some of it is just what I'm feeling at the time. And it may not be so rehearsed.
Is it
But
something that
mhm.
takes you a certain period of time? Like how long
Yes.
did it take you to do the piece behind you or
Yes.
services that you
Yeah. I mean, it could take a couple of weeks for if it's a painting or video, maybe a little bit longer. But I think a lot of it is just, again, just sort of inspiration. I'm collecting things all the time, just like, again, going back to the DJ metaphor of collecting these records. I'm always collecting images and videos and icons and symbols. And so I have just gigabytes of just images and videos and sounds that I like to try to pull upon and use. It's part really trying to sort of see as a visual artist, how can I recreate as best I can? Like, I'm not an MC, I'm not a DJ, but how can this work complement what this artist has produced? How can I add to it?
And when I think about what I've seen that I know you've been connected to, it's definitely, it feels like a piece of a puzzle. Like it's just, it naturally fits. And what is so crazy is before we got on this interview, I was speaking with a friend of mine about synesthesia and neurodiversity. And she was talking about, she was asked by a filmmaker, she has a podcast about neurodiversity. Shout out to Joy Buck.
I would love to hear it.
I'm send it to you.
Please do.
And she was saying that a filmmaker had asked her about the topics that she discussed and wanted to have some of the people in the film that are exploring that topic come on and talk about her personal experience with it and what that means for how it's created in the art. And I thought back and said, I used to always say I see colors when certain music is played. And because it's not all music, it's not even all the time, but I can guarantee if I'm listening to like Kamasi Washington
Oh, he's amazing. Yes.
or Roy Hargrove, like there's certain ones.
Yes.
And then I was there's a piano player. He is so amazing. And I got to figure out his name. Chris Bauer.
Oh, Chris Bowers. I think I've heard it.
I went to see the Winter Jazz Fest in New York years ago, and he was playing music that was like, for those that are listening, my fingers are like fluttering in the sky because it was just like, all I saw was blue and then purple and then green. Like, I was just like, what is happening? So the fact that there's more conversation being had about it, or at least I'm aware of more conversation and what it is and how it happens.
And you mentioned neurodiversity. That's something I'm really, as an educator, as a parent, I'm really drawn to. And our students, we have quite a few neurodiverse students here at Bowie State and in the department. They're drawn to the arts. They're drawn to animation and film and fashion. And so I call it their superpower. And as a matter of fact, I'm working on a sci-fi script with one of my characters, neurodivergent. This population, since I've been teaching 20 years here at Bowie State, and I would say within the last 5 years, this population has really increased of neurodivergent students. And so just listening to them and seeing how they approach art or design or film is really amazing. And how can we really encourage that and give them that? Because some may have the challenges with connecting with folks socially, but they excel so well in other areas. And so we here at the university, we've been really trying to be a lot more supportive of these types of artists and students. And as a parent, and I've had folks in my family as well as folks with disabilities and special needs that I've worked with over the years. But now it's like I have to literally, as an educator, I have to really change up my syllabus the way I teach. Like when I did the M3 exhibit in DC years ago, the hip hop exhibition. So again, we had 17 artists. Each one chose a different MC artist, rapper to sort of speak to. But there was one artist who created a piece of one of Nas's songs. And I think it was Nas's One Love, but it was a piece where there was Braille on the word. And you could actually go up and physically touch the word. Darian Robbins is an artist. He's here in the DMV. I want to shout him out. But just the fact that you can go and touch the artwork and you touched it and it played Nas's music.
Oh,
and it was like, wow, I never thought about, because you're taught, don't touch the artwork, right? No, Darian was like, no, I want them to touch the artwork. And I love that whole thing of, again, thinking about how do other people experience the work? And for folks who may have a hearing issues or blindness or what have you, how can we create work that also speaks to all these artists? If they're neurodivergent, there may be work that someone who might be sensitive to sound, right? But I'm really starting to think about that. And even the current film I'm working on right now, I really want it to be a film, but I'm thinking of it also being an immersive experience that thinks about folks with who are neurodivergent. How would they experience this film if it's putting on a headset or putting on the VR goggles? But I'm really starting to think about, again, I almost feel bad. Like I'm only creating artwork for people who can see, but what about those who cannot? I feel bad. But again, maybe sound and how do they see my work? You talked about what you saw listening to the pianist, but I'm really curious about that. And as an artist, how I can expand beyond just the sense of just what you see. But again, the sound. Look, I know they had a smell-o-vision back in the day. We can get into sense as well. The other thing that's central to my work, I hope, is to create an experience. So whether it's in painting or video, or if I'm working at a live theatrical production, I really want someone to experience the work. And actually, you mentioned immersive media earlier. That's actually sort of where I'm going and where we're going here at the university. We're going into immersive media, but now I'm looking at, again, sight, sound, physical movement. Do I want someone to just sit and watch this film, or do I want them to experience it? Do I want them to physically walk through my film or video or installation? So those are the things I'm really thinking about with this current film that I'm working on, or project that I'm working on, that it may be not only just a film, but it might be a multimedia visual experience, video game. I don't know. I haven't decided yet.
Oh my God. Hey, for the audience listening, keep an eye out. You may have heard it here first, that it's evolving, and it might be a video game. I also definitely want to introduce you and connect you with Joy so you can speak with her. And
I would love to. Yes.
Podcast is called The Joy of Neurodiversity, and she's naming it as a superpower.
It is. It truly is.
Yeah. Yeah. You mentioned briefly working in higher education. And I know as a professor and a chair of a department, there's so many responsibilities that I hear you speak about with intention. Like, I want to be able to reach people where they are, not just teach a certain curriculum as it's written. I heard you mention people learning different ways and being able to stay on top of that as it evolves. And it made me think about two things. And one, I'll ask the first question, and that is like, how does your approach differ, or does it, when you're working on a live experience versus the traditional film? Like, because I've seen your work as a part of a play, but then I read and you just said you've worked on film and you've created your own film. How does that?
Yeah, so I had to learn the hard way. I mean, it's easy for it to be at the computer editing or shooting your film, editing is just me, great, done. But to work with live production, like what I've done with the, say, liner notes or page in full, yes, you have actors, you've got timing. These are things that as a visual artist, I didn't realize, oh, there's rehearsals. I mean, I got to show up to rehearsals. And then the audience, and so how they're going to react and respond to it. And so it's a collaboration. I've learned a lot absolutely love theater. I'll be honest with you. I really got into, I mean, when I was at Morgan State, I was like the makeup artist for some of the student productions. So I have to definitely shout out Morgan. But it wasn't until recently where I really started working with theatrical productions and understanding, again, timing and just the live experience, how the audience responds, the technical glitches that could go wrong. Oh, why rehearsal is so important. I mean, I've worked on sets. I've been fired from sets for screwing up stuff. And I've been like, okay, oh, you mean, oh, that's how y'all do it. Okay. So it's a learning curve. I have so much respect for the actors, the dancers, and the musicians. Anyone that has to do something live again and again, like 3 times a day, like, wow, it's beyond. But I think that I also learn from sitting in the audience and just like, even if I'm in the movie theater, sometimes I'm looking at people and seeing their reaction. If it was Sinners, or if it was Black Panther, or if it was Page in Full, or if it was Red, or MJ the Musical, I'm really curious to see, like, okay, all right, that got that reaction. Okay, they laughed at this part, or they were pissed at this one. So I think the energy of the audience it informs my work as well. But yeah, definitely I have to give shout out to our amazing acting friends. I have to shout out Miss Paige Hernandez and Salma Yede and all the amazing artists we work. Nick the Wonder. They taught me a lot about, okay, well, Tio, this is live. This ain't a video. You could just push play. As a matter of fact, I'm going to say that live theater is really informing me as a filmmaker and as an artist. Even the piece that I want to work on now, when I talk about all the neurodivergent, just sort of, it got me thinking. Working in theater has taught me sort of the things like timing. And again, and there's certain things you just can't always prepare or rehearse for. But yeah, I've learned a whole lot working in theater that's really informed my process as a visual artist and filmmaker. So the latest thing I would say, and I shout out to my amazing wife, is dance. I've really been learning a lot about dance. I did not realized how much I did not know about dance until my wife is also Bowie State alumna. She studied dance and theater here. And so she was the one that really got me thinking more about dance. Again, we're going back to movement. And as a matter of fact, we have two new majors, just I want to plug because they're kind of connected. But we have a new major in dance here coming to Bowie State in the fall.
Oh.
And yes. And we have a new major in immersive media, entertainment, and gaming. And Professor Jennifer Dorsey is on the dance side, and I'm on the digital media side. But we have motion capture suits down the hall. And I'm like, Professor Dorsey, I can't wait to get your dancers into the motion capture suits. And we do this thing with animation and dance. And again, and that whole thing of movement and synergy and collaboration is really exciting to me. But again, I have to give credit to theater and dance. Gosh, I think the last wonderful group I saw was the Dallas Black Dance Theater a couple of months ago. They were absolutely amazing. And so dance is another aspect. As a matter of fact, the sci-fi film I'm writing right now will have a bit of dance in it, as well as, of course, music, of course. But I'm really thinking about, again, other ways of language. If it's written, if it's physical dance movement, if it's sound, if it's film.
It sounds highly interdisciplinary.
Absolutely. Yep.
To your earlier point, they complement each other well. And if you're aware of the different disciplines, and then you can figure out how to combine them together or have them work in space together, then it can create a whole nother experience that you don't even expect. And like the collaboration necessary to build with theater and film and higher education. Tell me, how did higher education enter the narrative?
I have to say that for me, again, going to Morgan State, being a visual arts student there, and then stumbling into the theater area and like, all right, Tio, you're going to do makeup. And I'm like, okay. But I would say it started there at Morgan for me. I think the HBCUs have a really great advantage of being these laboratories, if you will, to explore all of these different things. So for me, definitely going there. And then going to UMBC, and I was actually the only Black student in the program at UMBC, but that was even a wonderful experience. And I literally felt like I was an undergrad and a grad at the same time. This is before the internet. Oh, it was like, okay, what's the internet? And so I had to learn a lot quickly, and definitely have amazing colleagues at UMBC, students. And that really got me thinking a lot more in terms of technology and digital media. But what's great about, leaving there, I ended up in the school system, teaching high school and middle school and working at PG, and ended up at Howard University. But what I love about institutions like Howard or Morgan or Bowie State and all the wonderful HBCUs is we have such great places that we can have all this happen. I'm very blessed to be in the Department of Fine and Performing Arts because I'm here I've got a marching band over here. I've got the gospel choir. I have dancers. I've got fashion designers. I have animation students and film students. So there's all of this energy. And I'm always telling the students, like, you guys have it so great. And we had that at Morgan as well, but it's all here in one building. So I come in very excited every day as a chair because there's so much creativity in this one space, and these students can really get a chance to explore and collaborate. And they have been collaborating with each other. We've had them go across different disciplines, music technology into dance, or dance into visual arts. So I think it's really giving students a place where they feel appreciated, they feel safe, they feel that they're important. A lot of it is just making sure that we're a welcoming place. This is a safe space for them to be, no matter who they are. And I think once they are able to tap into that and just to say, hey, let's sort of see what will happen. So with these new majors, I do want to emphasize the interdisciplinary approaches to both the dance and immersive media. So the dance major will be here. Actually, both will start in 2026, but there's going to be a lot of kind of overlap. And then the other piece I want to put in there is entrepreneurship. We want to make sure our students, and this is, again, shout out to President Bro, who wanted all of our students to have this entrepreneurial mindset. So all of these experiences or products, I'm trying to get students to think, hey, this might be more than just an exhibit or a senior capstone. Maybe, have you thought about taking this and turning it into a business? I was watching Shark Tank all night yesterday. My wife and I, we just sit back and just like, okay. And so we've actually had some of our students collaborate and work with the Entrepreneurship Center, some of the art students, and they've actually created projects and products and businesses off of just a little art exhibit or just a senior show or capstone. But I think I'm in such a wonderful place and just surrounded by amazing colleagues and faculty here that we can sort of bounce off each other. And even not only just here in the Department of Fine and Performing Arts, but collaborating with my colleagues in communications and natural sciences and history and government. we're in a really great space. And so having the administration and support from them is very important, and making sure that we have an administration that does have a support and love of the arts is really important. And so far we've had that since I've been here, which has been good.
That is phenomenal. I mean, you've said a couple of things I want to piggyback on. Just the idea that you can work in a place that's full of creativity and dream and build and create the spaces that you'd love for students to experience. And you don't as a student, you don't realize what you're experiencing until maybe later on in your career. And you're like, oh my gosh, I did that at Bowie. And when I talk to people on this show and we talk about, but usually their work starts with a curiosity, like, oh, I noticed that, or I saw myself, or someone exposed me to it. And then when I got to college, I started to work in it more directly. And so being able to both create for your own on your own and be a part of training the next generation of creators it has to be rewarding.
It is. Truly is. I call myself an eternal student. I learn so much. I mean, literally learning so much from the students, especially this whole new AI thing. I'm like, huh? What? What's that? And they're on top of it. And so, yes, I tell my students all the time, like, you all are teaching me, quite literally. So it's a great experience. But yeah, just being in these types of environments is really important. And then the community, I think community is really essential. So my studio, I have a studio called Visual Jazz, which is located in the Gateway Arts District. So the county has established certain areas that are arts and entertainment districts. So right off Rhode Island Avenue outside of DC, where I'm in, my studio's in Mount Rainier. I share a space with other filmmakers and artists in the Gateway Arts District. And so even that synergy and that community is important, because I want students to, I have a lot of love for this county and this area, or the area, as I call it. And so do we all have to go to New York? I know there's Atlanta and New York and LA and Chicago, but I see something really great happening here. Something is in the water. I've been saying this for a while. There's so much amazing talent that comes out of the DMV and definitely Prince George's County. And so I'm excited to be in the Gateway Arts District, and even to get to collaborate with organizations like the Prince George's Arts and Humanities Council and the PG Film Festival, PG Film Office, and even some of the other work, the Joe's Movement Emporium. There's a whole group of just creative energy right there around that corridor from DC going out to Hyattsville. So being there, I've actually taken students out there to work on projects and to introduce them to other artists and designers. As a matter of fact, some of our graduates have their own studio space. Next door, we have because next door to my studio is a thing called D Park 3311. And as a fashion incubator, we actually have a couple of our fashion designers who are Bowie State alum, who are there running their own businesses. So I'm really, again, blessed to be in the Gateway Arts District and the county. And then our students are able to get internships or apprenticeships and do some experiential learning by studying under an artist or designer or filmmaker there. We have quite a few doing that this summer. But yeah, there's something really exciting happening here in the county. And I would love to see like where we go in the next few years and how Bowie State and other institutions could be a part of that.
Thank you. I mean, the vision is set, so it's literally happening. When you mentioned that you all were getting a dance department and then the gaming, I instantly started to get excited because, one, they're happening at a HBCU. And for those that are listening, I went to Hampton and I was a part of the dance company there. There are not a lot of HBCUs that have dance as a major. Howard definitely was one for a while, then they removed it. And I think I heard that they brought it back. And it's like the gaming, which is a part of people's lives now. Like, it's not like something that's just fun. People are making money. It's a whole industry. And what I hear you saying is, and I'm hoping that the listeners are catching this too, like the container that you're creating for your students is evolving with the times. Like, what it's meeting the moment and the technology that exists, so that the people that come into your doors, they're having access to all these things and they can figure out what fits and maybe try on one thing and maybe try on something else. And because working in these creative spaces, especially behind the scenes, is all about collaboration, being able to maybe have your eye on one part of the work, but then be introduced to like a natural science. And you're like, oh my God, that is a gift for these young people. And it's not until you've lived a little that you're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And then entrepreneurship, which is a whole nother story. I know as an entrepreneur, there are, and I have a consulting firm, so we're often supporting others, but we're also building a few efforts, including like this podcast. And there is a certain level of vision, discipline, tenacity, clarity that is needed to take it from a vision to something actual, to then have someone pay for it. I'm so glad that you are creating spaces for that. I remember years ago working on this professional development program for young classical musicians who were trained with top tier institutions in their classical art, but not on the business side. So this professional development program was all about how do you put together your EP kit, your press kit? How do you find an agent? Like, how do you know how to negotiate rates? And all of that is necessary to be, whether you're working as a performing artist or a visual artist, or even behind the scenes, that's such a gift. And
Yeah, no, and you're touching on so many really important things. And I say that this major, the current major VCDMA, and the new major, so the new major coming is called Immersive Media, Entertainment, and Gaming, and even the dance major. I always say these are the majors I wish I had, because I didn't take business and marketing and, oh, this a contract, oh, you can write that off on your taxes. And so I would get these questions from students, and I'm learning things by after the fact, where I was like, man, I wish I took a business course. Well, we incorporated that into the major. So we incorporated marketing and business and self-promotion as well. I work very closely, again, with the Entrepreneurship Center at the School of Business here, College of Business here. But yeah, I think that I tell all of the majors here in the department, I said, everyone take at least 2 courses outside of theater, music, dance, whatever. I say, take business and take finance. I wish I did learn from my mistakes. Okay. There are things that right now, we were talking earlier about, God rest his soul, about Malcolm Jamal Warner. Are we having conversations about life insurance and what's an irrevocable trust? What's that? I didn't learn anything about that, or investing in that part. And so, my father, my parents, definitely, my dad would teach us a little about investment, but there are things that I say, thank God for Instagram, because I'm like, I didn't know what a Roth IRA versus this trust or that trust. There are things that there's not a class for that. And even some of the soft skills. I think I was talking to a colleague the other day about, we went through this whole situation of COVID, and everyone was behind a computer. And so now we're back, and, we've lost a lot of students have lost some of those basic soft skills of this communication and talking and how to interview. How to interact. So what we try to do here, as a matter of fact, I was talking to another professor a few weeks ago in this very office. It's like, how do we better prepare our students for success? Everything is changing right now. We have AI, we have all these government and tax cuts. And so how do we prepare them for the next thing? And so with these new majors, I'm telling all of our students, whether it's the new dance major or the new game design major, is that please I tell all students, think about some type of entrepreneurial aspect to what you do. At least graduate, but also think about, maybe this is more than just a wonderful work of art. Maybe this is a service or an app or a product that you could take to the next level. So computer science has virtual reality and gaming, which is here now. As a matter of fact, my son is coming in as a freshman. He will be in one of the first students in the virtual reality and gaming, but it's a partnership where the computer science students will be taking courses here, and then vice versa. And then our major, and on the art side, where theirs is more of the coding, and our major will be here 26. But again, students will take courses in computer science and programming as well as the art. So finally, I've been doing this, trying to this about 10, 15 years now. Finally, we can bring the computer science and the artists together in one room. And then we've even reached out to communications, Dr. Thomas, and business and marketing. So how do we get all of these students collaborating again? So it is really definitely an exciting time. But then again, I'm always, I'm really always looking at, okay, there's a lot of students not getting hired right now, and there's a lot of debt, and is a college degree then worth it? So we always, as a department and as a professor, I'm always saying, hey, what do we need to do different here? And that's why I reach out to folks in the industry, if it's game design or animation, and paying attention to where things are going to go. So we try to be abreast of that as much as we can. And yeah, and even with dance, that was a long time coming, just getting dance, and not too many HBCUs with dance. When I taught at Howard, I remember Sherman Beverly Johnson. Yes, God rest his soul. Yeah, definitely. So, but I think we're in challenging times, and I think this is teaching us that, okay, we may not be able to depend on the federal government right now. It's okay. But we've been there. Our ancestors have been through so much worse. So what do? We have to come back to community. And that's one thing I want the students to, yes, you get all this knowledge and expertise and start your business, but what are you doing for the community, your local community? You know what I mean? And how are you paying it back and paying it forward? So I think that's just as important as the entrepreneurship and the skills, and making sure and making sure that they're invested in their community as well.
You know what is exciting about what you're talking about? It's like innovative, like it's multiple places that you might see in their own silos doing their own thing. You're bringing them together in this space to innovate together. It's awesome to be on the front end of that, like meaning you can see the students doing it and at Bowie, and then who knows where they will go because of their journey at your institution. As you talked, I heard that, okay, so you're an artist yourself. You are behind the scenes in higher education, preparing other creatives, artists and business owners and all of the things. And then there's work for hire, like BET Plus or Kennedy Center. How does that work? Like, how does someone know we need Teo? And then how do you all work together to bring whatever you're doing with them to life?
Right. Well, I have to say that all of those came, again, I'm gonna go back to community. People may call it networking. So the BET project, I have to give shout out to, actually, it came through Bowie State. Tressa Azarel Smallwood, wonderful sister who has a studio here called Megamind. And we have a partnership, an MOU with Tressa. She's a BSU alumna, and she's doing all these amazing films with BET and TV One. She's hired our students. She's hired me. I've worked on as a production designer for a film called The Available Wife. And so Tressa is really she's just an amazing asset here in the Prince George's County area. She's really trying to develop the entertainment industry, the creative economy here in Prince George's County. And she's really pushing the next group forward. And so, yeah, connected with Tressa is how he was able to do that, ending up doing the opening titles on that one. Again, we have an MOU with her studio. And so there's a show called Wicked City. Wicked City is on the All Black Network. And I have to share that because one of our alumni, her name is Serena Lee. Serena Lee was VCDMA. She studied digital cinema here at Bowie State. And Serena is now executive producer and co-writer of the series. They're in their third season. So it's like, again, community giving back, the Bowie State alumni. I think it's just really the HBCU alum thing and just that love that we have and reaching back. So shout out to Tressa and Serena and the Megamind family. Those relationships, yeah.
I definitely want to chat with Tressa. It sounds like she could offer.
She would be an amazing person.
Yeah, definitely would love to connect with her. Community, innovation, effort, curiosity, discipline, all of the things to keep moving this work forward is what I hear you talking about. And I have to say this, I mentioned it before we started recording. One of the reasons why I invited Teo on this show is because I was at an elementary school talking about careers in the arts to second and fourth graders. And they were talking about how they edit YouTube videos all the time and how that's what they are doing for fun. And then I said, you could do something with that as your profession. And they were like, you can't, like, where do you go? And I thought we need to speak to people that are working behind the scenes, production design, animation, film, that can help make these experiences real for young people. Maybe this was the first time they heard someone say that this is something they could do, but the seed is planted and now they know that there are ways to get this work. And so I am so glad that you were able to come on and talk about all of the ways that you support the creative ecosystem, because while that second grader might not be listening now to this episode, learning in that conversation that there's something that they can do creatively with something that they naturally do for fun, I'm just hopeful that those seeds grow.
And I'm hoping, I know we discussed it earlier, hopefully we'll get back to doing some of our summer academies and summer camps. We had worked with Maryland Parks and Planning Commission, and we've done video editing and fashion camps and animation camps. We work closely with Prince George's County schools as well. And so, and getting out and visiting some of them high schools and middle schools and community colleges, events like the Prince George's Film Festival. We're trying to bring an event back to the department. We haven't done it in a while. It's called the Spring Arts Festival. And so we want to get back to these festivals where we really connect with the community here in Bowie, here in Prince George's County and in the DMV. But yeah, definitely, those young folks, they're content creators, they're producers, and they're directors, producers, editors. They got 3 careers already on YouTube, and let's encourage that. And then again, they're entrepreneurs as well. And so that's something I want to definitely make more efforts here at the department, is seeing how we can connect more with the younger audiences here, even through theater, our theater arts program. We used to do children's theater here at Bowie State years ago. And as a matter of fact, one of the productions that I worked on was at the Imagination Stage when I did some projections for Salmiene, when we did Cinderella, the remix. And so I had a chance to do projections. So I do love children's theater as well. And it would be great to get some children's theater, some other interaction here at the university. I mean, we have a beautiful building here, the Fine and Performing Arts Center, or FPAC as we call it. We call it the Jewel, and people are always amazed when they come here. And so I really want to do more with getting the local community here at Bowie State and in the Fine and Performing Arts Center, whether it be through coming to see a performance or taking a camp or certificates. We're looking at developing some courses and certificates for folks that, hey, I don't want a degree, but I want to learn how to make my next screenplay, or I want to learn how to make my next clothing line or film. And so we're hoping that we can get into those areas as a university here.
Well, if there are any ways that I can support your
thank you.
Your vision, let me know. I'm happy to help connect you with
elementary
schools or whatever.
We would love it. We need it. We need the next generation. Absolutely.
We really do. And that's one of the reasons why I was saying to someone else, like when I decided to have this podcast, part of it was I just want to give flowers to dope people that are working behind the scenes, changing the game, literally cultural catalyst.
Change. Right.
And also hear about how did they do that and what was their journey like. And what I know, it is never the same journey, right? But also the curiosity guides where they go. And it's also multifaceted. It's never just one discipline. Somehow, if it's multidiscipline, interdisciplinary, there's always a way where they're in collaboration with other people. And I think that it's important to elevate that reality. You know what? We did not talk about, and I think especially as someone in higher education, you can appreciate this, having worked behind the scenes, but also working with students. We keep crazy hours as creatives, and the notion for some of taking care of yourself or creating a wellness routine is often at the back burner. How and/or what is your wellness practice to make sure that you stay balanced?
You're touching on some touchy category. I need to do a better job of taking care of. That was a great, like, okay, Tio, you listen to her. So I think definitely family is critically important. Definitely my wife, my son, my in-laws, I have a younger brother with special needs. And so just really staying grounded with my extended family in Baltimore and throughout North Carolina. So definitely family, having a spiritual foundation, whatever that path may be, if it's prayer, if it's meditation, like church, the temple, the synagogue, the shrine, whatever you do, I think having that spiritual center is critically important. And for me, I think I'm going to go back to my love of music. I love performance therapy, and it's like part research, but part therapy to go check out this film or this play or this musical artist. I'm inspired, but it's also kind of soothing for me. But I will say I need to do a better job. I know my wife was like, you need to start cutting things off. But I definitely need to do, sometimes I'm doing so much that especially with the university where it comes home, right? And lately it's been hard to balance the working at the university with my own creative work and having that time to write and work. Like I've been mentioning this sci-fi script I've been writing forever, but it has been a challenge to find that balance. And so I'm still trying to get there, but definitely if it gets too strenuous, I seek out if it's mental health and seeing a counselor and making sure that I'm talking to someone, trying to stay physically active. I need to do that more. Need to definitely take care of the body a lot more. But yeah, and then I'll be honest with you, sometimes this may sound really simple and kind of basic, but just, I think the art of doing nothing. I just like to just go home and do, sometimes we feel like we always have to do so. Even on the weekend, I got to do the holiday. Okay, it's holiday. You're off, but you're still moving. And me and my wife are like, can we just like not do nothing? Can I just binge watch on Netflix for like, and I mean, there's that as well. And so I think that's important. It's just time. There's just a quiet time to just say, I'm just going to just be at peace. But note to self, I need to do a better job of taking more time for myself and establishing, okay, this is my time for writing. I'm not going to touch the phone. I'm not going to answer anybody's call. I haven't gotten there yet. I'm working towards it. So I'm a work in progress. So pray for me.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. The manifestation has been stated,
Thank you. Thank you.
and so
Thank
it
you.
shall be.
Oh, there you go. I'm gonna put it out there. Put it out there.
Think about wellness a lot for creatives because I don't know about you, but when creative ideas come to me, it's like, oh, I'm driven by this. Like I'm working toward making it happen and such dedication and focus to try. And then it's like, oh, did I eat lunch today?
I see that's me. My wife is like, did you eat? I'm like, oh, forgot
That part.
that part.
Yes, yes. Or even having something at your desk that you can.
Yes, I have an amazing administrative assistant, Miss Tracy Barbecue, and she's always looking out for me. And because she knows I will not eat. I will stay in this office. I'm at Bowie now. I will be here till 7:00 and will not eat anything. So she's like, eat. So yeah, you're right. That's critically important. And that's something that is so funny. We're talking about this. I share these things with students because I'm like, okay, I'm not doing it, but don't do as I do. No, but just the other day we had orientation, actually yesterday for freshmen and for transfer students. And I'm glad to hear in the conversation your mental health, your physical wellness. Are you eating? Are you sleeping properly? Or do you have enough food? Do you have food? I mean, we take that for granted. You have to healthy foods. What do you do to relax? If it's yoga, meditation, listening to music, doing nothing, going to church, whatever that may be. Yeah. Well, and that's something we really want to try to create this healthy, creative, work-life balance here and making sure our students feel supported. On the call yesterday, we had folks with disability office. We have folks with entrepreneurship. We have folks with counseling. And so I didn't remember that when I went to work it, but just the fact that people are having the conversation about mental health and mental wellness and physical wellness, these are the conversations we just take for granted. But I'm glad that Bowie State and other institutions are finally putting that out there. I mean, we've had challenges here in the department with anxiety and I hate to say it, but suicidal ideation. I mean, things that I never thought I would have to address as a chair that these young people are going through. And then you got this craziness going on right now in the government. And I'm gonna leave that out there. There's that. And for me I can only imagine what it is to be a young person in this culture right now and to be a college student. It's so challenging.
I want to give you some grace, Tio, because Generation X was not necessarily taught take time and breathe. Like we were grinding it out. No money, it'll come. Like it was just, that was a part of your dedication, how well you could grind it out. And that worked for who it worked for. It was a space and time. It's what we knew at the time. But now you're right. The introduction of this is a regular part of the experience at a university or even at a job. It's so refreshing to see. Yeah. And definitely, I don't think it definitely wasn't a heavily embedded part of the Generation X experience. I think.
Yeah. And I'm glad you said, because this generation, they're like, Professor, I need a mental health. They're taking time. They're telling me I need personal time, a day off. Okay. So that's one thing I do love about this generation is as much as I complain about them, is that they learn to be self-advocates. So like, I need this, which is really good. Where our generation, we have to tell ourselves to take a break and to go eat and to go exercise. They're like, no, Professor, Professor, I can't be in this class at this time because I need to get home to church. That's great that they understand their value and their worth. And that's what we want them to do.
What's one misconception about your work?
That's a great question. Let's see, misconception about my work. I think that it's only for Black people or people of African descent. Yes, Afrofuturism, Black, but that's not always the intention. I think it's the glass that I put it in. But I mean, ultimately, I want all to experience the work. The message is universal, I think. And so even with the concept of Afrofuturism, it's kind of like Black Lives Matter. When we say Black Lives Matter and the others matter too, it's not an either or type. So Afrofuturism it's Afrofuturism minus the others. No, we're like, we're including ourselves. We're saying us too, right? Me too. Black Lives Matter, Afrofuturism, we count, just like if it's Native American, if it's Asian, if it's Middle Eastern, whatever the culture may be. And so that may be a misconception, I would assume. But again, I try to hopefully develop work that speaks to anyone beyond their racial background or political ideology, what have you. And especially the current script that I'm writing for us, it's a sci-fi film. So it's a sci-fi film called The Beat, kind of wrapping it up right now with the pre-production, but it'll be a full-length feature film. It'll be shot here in the DMV. It centers around a DJ. Of course, got to have the music in there, with a son who is neurodivergent, who basically gets these warnings about Earth's impending doom. And so she's given the task of protecting these ancient objects, if you will. And she's chosen to protect these objects that, of course, is another race of beings trying to stop her. But it's really a commentary on the environment and the planet. Of course, it ties back to sort of ancient cultures and ancient and mysticism and spirituality. For me, I call it a love letter to Black folks and Black music, because she's, as a DJ, she's spinning through all of these genres to get this message. And it's about time travel as well. So it might be in the 1930s, or it might be in the 70s or the 80s. But the beat, the drum, that's the central means of communication. That, let's call them, there's a race of beings that don't communicate other than they use beats and rhythms. And so that's their language. We talked about language earlier. And it's also, I really wanted to have a Black woman as the lead. And as a DJ, I've been doing a lot of research on Black women DJs. And I'm like, and as a matter of fact, as I'm writing this script for this sci-fi film, I've been thinking about maybe a documentary, because someone's like, is this a documentary on Black women DJs? I was like, no, but you just gave me an idea. I'm really fascinated. I've really been checking out some amazing, dope sisters who are DJs. And so at Bowie State, not to hop all over the place, but we have a minor in hip hop studies and visual culture. And I teach courses in hip hop. I teach a class with MC Shara, one of the first women MCs. And so she's our resident hip hop historian here. And so the reason I bring her up is because I met Shara, was like a guest speaker, and so my class. And going back, it's like I'm thinking about, how did I meet Shara? I met Shara because it was someone on Tressa's set that went to spend with Shara. So this all goes back to community and Tressa Small with Megamind. So shout out to her. But talking to Shah, she's telling me about the Mercedes Ladies. I didn't know that back in the 80s, there's a whole DJ crew called the Mercedes Ladies. And these sisters were the first DJ group that was just killing it. And so I was like, wow. And then I met something, Shah's introduced me to the Mercedes Ladies. And I'm like, wow, so y'all had an all-female DJ crew back in the 80s, back in the Bronx? So it's amazing.
I want to see this film. Like, how do...
Yes. So right now, my site is visualjazzmedia.net. And on Instagram, my handle is Soul Cinematic, like SOUL, like your soul. And then it's cinematic, Soul Cinematic. And what's going to happen now is, as I wrap up, put the finishing touches on the script, going into pre-production and obviously trying to raise funds for the film. So I would definitely say just keep in touch. I'll definitely be putting things online to raise funds for the film. And hopefully the goal is to start production in maybe 27, 28. Of course, I'm gonna squeeze in a sabbatical. But what's exciting about it is I really want to shoot the film right here in the DMV and work with local artists and DJs and musicians that are here, and students, and making sure the students are part of the production. But yeah, I will, as soon as I can wrap up this final version of my final draft of the script, I've been getting feedback from folks. I'm like, okay, that doesn't make sense. Let me change that scene. So hopefully soon. So coming soon, 2027, 28 is the goal.
All right. We'll be looking. And
thank you
so much. Any final messages for our audience?
Just find your happiness. I know it's a lot going on right now. I think we're all feeling it. There's a heaviness, but I just want to make sure that people look out for their own wellness, their own happiness, find those moments of stupidity or clarity. When I say stupidity, I mean literally. For me, it's watching episodes of Martin. We have to laugh. We cannot give up. We can't be in dismay. I think this is a time that's teaching us to just be circular and to strengthen our communities creatively. We're going to get through this. We're going to be all right. It's going to get rough, but we have to do this together. I have nothing but faith. I believe in goodness and righteousness, and people are doing the right thing. And I do think that we don't have to sit back and just accept things the way they are. So that would be my only message, is to just let's give more love and caring to each other, and just find that peace and happiness. Turn that television off, because it's too much. And I mean, sometimes it's social media too. But yeah, find your happy place and keep creating. That's the thing. Yeah, creating. I think this is, for me, I see this as a time to just, we're in these very difficult times. I see some of the best work coming out. I can't wait to see what's coming out 27, 28. Like, once we get through this madness, it's like, oh, so much dope music and art and dance and writing and all kinds of great things.
As a last note, one of the things that I hope these spaces that we're creating through Cultural Catalyst is like creating an archive of people that are instrumental in all of these incredible projects that are happening around the country. And so that one day when we look back, we can see, wow, that's what they were saying then, or that was the innovative technology.
Yes.
Because it changes so fast. Listen, Teo, thank you so much.
Thank you. I really appreciate this. This is an honor.
Yeah, it's been an honor to hear your journey and your commitment to both Black people, to hip hop, to students, and just the community piece is the part that really sticks out for me. I cannot wait to compile our show notes so that we can share all of the great things about what's happening at Bowie State and what's happening at Visual Jazz. To our listeners, oh my gosh, another great episode of Cultural Catalyst. Thank you for joining, and we'll see you next time. Thank you for tuning in to Cultural Catalyst. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to subscribe to the podcast and follow us for more inspiring stories from the world of arts and entertainment. You can find me on social media at MCE Arts and Allison T. McNeil on LinkedIn. Please leave a review and tune in to our next episode for more creatives behind the curtain. See you next time.